I just brought Peter with tidbits from the Word. We're in chapter 11, and we're really sailing right on, to be honest with you. And we're in chapter 11. This is tidbits from the Word of the book of Genesis. And we're having a fun time. We're digging in, and I'm skipping a good bit for the sake of not being boring. Because when you really study a verse, if you sit down and really study one verse, just take verse 10 right here in chapter 11, and let's read it. It said, "These are the generations of Shem, was 100 years old, and begat Aphex 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Aphex 500 years, and begat sons and daughters." So we see that at 100 years old, he started having children. And at 100 years old, he started having children. And then he lived 500 more years begetting children. And imagine how many children he begat in 500 years. And there wasn't no such a thing. It's birth control in that day. And another thing, that most of these guys, if you trace them down, had more than one wife, and they had concubines, and they had children by all of them, and they was begetting sons and daughters left and right. But let's see another thing here. Let's go to verse 12. Aphex, he lived 438 years. Now listen to this. "And Aphex lived 35 years, and begat Selah." Now, at 38 years old, he got married and he started having children. And Aphex lived after he begat Selah 403 years, and begat sons and daughters. And his days were 438 years of begatting children. He begat children for 438 years. How many children do you think he begat? And if they all started begatting at 38 years old, how many children do you think they begat? And if they started at 38 years old, how many children do you think they begat? Well, I tell you what, you take a penny, double it every day, just for a month. Double it every minute. For every minute, for 24 hours, and times that a day, and then a week, and then a month, and then a year, and see what you come up with. And you're going to come up with like the population of this earth was in that day after those years. Now, Selah lived 433 years, and Selah lived 30 years and begat. Here it is, in 30 years he started begatting children. And Selah lived after he begat Eber 403 years, and begat sons and daughters. Now look, Eber was 364, and Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years, and begat sons and daughters. Now he started at the age of 34. Now Peleg started at the age of 30 years, and he lived 239 years. The years are getting smaller now, but they still did the same thing. 209 years of those 239 years, he begat sons and daughters. And Rehu lived 230 years, and Rehu lived after he begat Sergo 207 years, and begat sons and daughters. And then we got Serge, he lived 230 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And then you got Nahor, he lived only 148 years, but Nahor begat Terah, and 119 years, and begat sons and daughters. And Terah was 205 when he begat Lot. Now remember, Terah was the brother of Abram. Let's see if we can see that. Verse 26. Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And they are the generation of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot. Now, excuse me, I said Terah was the brother. No, he wasn't. It was Haran. Terah was the father. And Abram, the son, Abram and Nahor took them wives. And the name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Issachar. But Sarah was barren. She had no children. And his daughter-in-law, and the son of Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go to the land of Canaan, and they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Now, when you're studying the Bible, you need to look at your maps, and you need to see some things that God did that never changed. The land of Canaan is still over there today. It's still the land of Canaan. It's still promised to the Jew. You can go back up at the end of the valley of Kidron, and you can climb the mountain there, and you can look out, and you can see some 250-something miles down through that valley. It's called the Fertile Crescent, and it's like a big ditch in the ground, and you can see some 200-and-something miles down through there. And Abram stood up there, and God said, I am going to give you every inch of that land that your people put their feet on. I'm going to tell you something. This is something I discovered and studied. But God said every inch you put your feet on, every inch you didn't put your feet on, if there was people there, they were going to become your enemies if you didn't squish them out or move them out or move them off that property for a period of time, and you take possession of that property. That's what God was saying. I'm giving it to you, but you got to claim it. When do you get something? When you get it from God. When you get something, you get from God. When you claim it. When you claim it, it's offered to everybody. God offers peace, joy, love, contentment, long-suffering, all kinds of things. God offers that to everybody. But when do they get it? They get it when they claim it. And when you claim it, it's yours. Now, God said you got 256 or 59 miles down here, and it's some 60, 80 miles wide or so, and a little wider in other places. And you have every single solitary inch of it you claim is going to be yours. Wow. So those guys started down through there. And you know they didn't claim some of it. And they even let some people stay in their land when God said claim it. Claim it first, and then if you want to put them people back in it, you can put them in it. But they're on your land then. Now they're on their land, and you didn't claim it. And now here they are right in the middle of where you're supposed to be, and you didn't claim their land, so it's still rightfully theirs. So you didn't put your feet on it. Put your feet where you want them, my brother, my sister, my friend. Listen to Brother Peter. Put your feet on the land God has given you. Whatever God's gave you, put your feet on it. If you put your feet, it will become yours. And that's what the Lord God said. Put your feet on it, and it will become yours. Now, here we are again. Come down. We came to Nahor. Hebron dwelt in the days of Terah. And we're going to come into the end of the third dispensation of human government. The third dispensation of human government. And what we're going to come to in the fourth dispensation, which is just going to be a short thing, and that's going to be verse 1 through verse 3 of chapter 12. And we don't have time today to get into